أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي اللهم افتح علينا حكمتك وانشر علينا رحمتك يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. O Allah, shower the door, open the doors of wisdom and mercy and shower your blessing upon us. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ameen. Asim, whenever you're ready, please begin.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. We are reading from the 17th flash, the 13th note, and we are on the 5th matter of the 13th note. So let me just see exactly. So all these 13th note, 5 matters that have been the cause of confusion. So the author is sharing in this 13th note different aspects of in terms of how he sees the reality and for us to think about. And this is the 5th matter of that, where I remember last week we discussed about, the how to see the universe, and there was this causality versus seeing that everything is originating from a single source that gives existence to things. So let's see what the 5th matter is and how we can see, get out of that confusion. Yes, the author thinks that, these matters, some of these matters may be cause of confusion. So let's go over this. Just as if the property of a community is given to one man, it is wrong. Or if one man lays hands on charitable foundations which belong to the community, he does wrong. Just as if the property of a community is given to one man, it is wrong. Or if one man lays hands on charitable foundations which belong to the community, he does wrong. So too, to ascribe to the leader or master of a community the results of that community's labors or the honor and merits resulting from its good works is wrong, both for the community and for the leader or master. To ascribe to the leader or master of a community the results of that community's labors or the honor and merits resulting from its good works is wrong, both for the community and for the leader or master. Because to do so flatters his egotism and encourages pride. While being the doorkeeper, he supposes himself to be the king. He also does wrong to himself. Indeed, he opens the way to a sort of concealed association of partners with God. Yes, the colonel or colonel cannot claim for himself the booty, victory, and glory belonging to a regiment which conquers a citadel. The master and spiritual guide should not be considered to be the source and origin, but known to be the place of reflection and manifestation. The master and spiritual guide should not be considered to be the source and origin, but known to be the place of reflection and manifestation. For example, heat and light reach you by means of a mirror. Heat and light reach you by means of a mirror. It would be crazy if you forget the sun and, considering the mirror to be the source, are grateful to the mirror instead of being grateful to the sun. So heat and light reach you by the means of the mirror, and it would be crazy if you forget the sun and consider the mirror to be the source of the heat and light and are grateful to the mirror instead of being grateful to the sun. The mirror should be preserved because it is the place of manifestation. Yeah, so the mirror should be preserved because it is the place of manifestation. So it is the means, it's through the mirror that the reflection happens. Thus, the guide, spirit, and heart are a mirror. They are the place for reflecting the effulgence emanating from Almighty God. He is the means of its being reflected to its followers. He should not be ascribed a station higher with regard to the effulgence than that of being the means. He should not be ascribed a station higher with regard to the effulgence than that of being the means. It sometimes even happens that a master considered to be the source is neither the place of manifestation nor the source. The follower supposes the effulgences he receives due to the purity of his sincerity, or his strength of attachment, or his concentration on his master, or in other ways to have come from the mirror of his master's spirit. The follower supposes the effulgences he receives due to the purity of his sincerity, or his strength of attachment, or his concentration on his master, or in other ways to have come from the mirror of his master's spirit. Like by means of mesmerism, some people open up windows onto the world of similitudes by gazing attentively at a mirror and observe strange and wonderful things in the mirror. So they become mesmerized. Some people open up a window onto the world of similitudes by gazing attentively at a mirror and observe strange and wonderful things in the mirror. But they are not in the mirror. By focusing their attention on the mirror, a window opens up in their imaginations outside the mirror, and they see those things. It is for this reason that sometimes the sincere student may be more advanced than a deficient shaykh. He returns, guides his shaykh, and becomes the shaykh's shaykh. And that is the fifth matter. So let's see, how do we start this? If any, so this fifth matter is talking about, again, I think it's a continuation of the fourth matter of the associations that he spoke about. I mean, the author. So we, in our day-to-day experience, we are, faced with this situations and everything. We see that, because we are living in this time and space conditions, we think that maybe one thing is the cause of existence of the other thing. And we discussed that pretty much last time, but here now this confusion is that, attributing any sort of quality to something that is created or being given that quality. So if, let's say, just the example that he gives, if, the property is just given to one man and there are like, oh, so many other people, it feels wrong. And in the other example was the on one man getting all the funds or the charitable things that was ascribed for everybody else, but one person takes the whole credit. Or, in the organizations or sports teams or whatever, there are situations where the leader just takes all the credit for everybody who actually contributed and worked to come up with the final finished product. So those things are all wrong. So similarly, in the way we exercise our whatever the qualities that we are manifesting or reflecting, if I do something, let's say I go running and I attribute that quality of running to myself. So that's a problem because that quality, I forget that that quality has been given to me. So, or somebody who is a teacher or is giving, um, a leader in terms of, let's say, yeah, even religious knowledge, a shaykh, or he's giving, he thinks, if that person thinks that this is coming from me and the ones who are receiving it think that this person is the source of all that information, so there's a problem there also, because neither of them are able to give existence to any of that, to the knowledge in this example, or any quality by itself. None of the created beings are able to give existence to anything. So everything is being given existence by the source that is able to give existence. So that is at least how I understood it, that we have to be mindful or aware of actually realizing, that everything in the universe is acting as a mirror, as he says. The example was beautiful in terms of if the light and the heat of that is reflecting on the mirror is coming from the sun, but if I think that the reflection that I'm getting from the mirror is actually, the mirror is the source of existence of that light and heat, that I am in a problem, because that mirror is just a means, it's a way for the sun to reflect for the light that is coming. So the source actually is the sun in this example. So similarly, the way everything in the universe is acting as a mirror, where every quality, everything that is being experienced does not belong to the thing themselves, but is a reflection, or we say it sometimes manifestation, or so reflection is another word that can say, but it's totally different from um, the actual cause of existence. For example, the mirror and the light example, and the mirror that reflects the light. So the light is not of the nature of what the sun is. So everything that is being experienced in the universe, if you see that as a mirror, so that is also in a manifested quality form. It is not the same as the actual origin, because this is a different created realm that we are living in, which is an existential world. And the source must not be of this nature, which we conclude. So this is again, what I took away from a very theoretical perspective. And I will pause here to see if anybody wants to add anything or make any comments. Please raise your hand. H. Beza, please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. So thank you for your reflections. Awesome. As you were sharing your reflections and as we were reading this, in my head at least, there's like three different portions to this text. And it seems that at first the author is making an emphasis on this idea of misattributing things and this sense of lack of justice that comes about it. And he says, if I do this, or if anyone does this, it becomes a way of flattering the ego or encouraging pride. And it's pretty easy to follow. And then at least on the outside. And then there's another emphasis on, so there's acknowledgement of the source, but there's also an acknowledgement, an emphasis on the acknowledgement of the means, insofar as I'm through these means it is that I can acknowledge the source. So an emphasis on the means through which I experience a particular quality, and going back to the first part, sometimes if I'm not aware of what I'm doing, this is what also causes me to misattribute. And there's one interesting sentence that attracted my attention is in the middle of the second paragraph. It says the mirror should be preserved because it is the place of manifestation, and I think like there seems to be some sort of like emphasis here being acknowledging the mirror insofar as the mirror being a means through which I acknowledge the sun, or acknowledge the sun that's reflected on it, or whatever quality that I'm experiencing, and that being when I look to myself, my heart and my spirit, but also acknowledging the role of the author calls the master or spiritual guide, as being a place of reflection and manifestation for those qualities. There's another third point, but I'm just gonna stop there for now, and just yeah, that's kind of in the form of a question comment, but thank you.
Thank you for that, Ajbeza. So yes, so attributing, how we are attributing, or what are we, when we are interacting or reading, do we realize what the source of existence of that event or thing is? What is the attribution we make? So that was one point, as I understood from you, and the other point was the thing that is, yeah, the mirror being as being the place of manifestation. So that would be as like there's a platform that is needed, or there is the throne, as was mentioned in some discussions that we spoke about, that a place where the qualities have to be manifested. So everything in creation, my being itself included, becomes a place of manifestation, or the mirror, or the platform through which every quality can be reflected. But I cannot claim myself to be the source of any of those qualities, because I'm just the means, or so the means is necessary for the reflection to happen. Anybody else wants to comment or clarify things here? Brother Ali, please take it away.
Making a comment, okay, for me. Clarifying the things, I don't think so, because I found the text is difficult to understand. In addition to H. Beza said the mirror should be preserved because it is the place of manifestation, which I agree totally. And I thank her for this reminder. I just wanted to make the comparison between preserving the place of manifestation and being grateful to the origin of this manifestation. One of them is preserving, the other one is being grateful. That difference revealed me a lot of meaning. The object of my feeling is the main purpose of this fifth metta reached out at the end when the relationship between the master, which is called shaykh here, the one who teaches, and at the same, but on the other hand, those people who seem to be learning from them. What I wanted to share with you in order to understand this matter, although teacher seems to be teaching, yeah, the students, teacher seems to be the source of the teaching. For example, an administration of a state or government or a city, the administrator seems to be really administrating, maintaining, and arranging the things, the law and order in the society. And the other people are benefiting from it. The relationship between the teacher and students and administrator and a commander in the army and being triumphant over the whatever, it's the war condition enemy, they call it enemy, whoever opposed them. So giving the credit to the commander, giving the credit to the administrator, giving the credit to the teacher, and ultimately giving the credit to the shaykh or the spiritual master, let's call it in this way in Arabic, in English, spiritual master. And the author is trying to tell us that, look, the master who's teaching, spiritual teaching, or teacher of any subject should not take the credit for himself. Not because they are, of course, they are not the source of knowledge. Of course, they are endowed with this quality to learn the source of knowledge, but they are just the needy ones to learn it. But when it comes to spiritual master and the people who follow and benefit from the master relationship, the author seems to be changing the subject a little bit, the direction of the subject a little bit, saying that it is not the master who is really teaching the students, but in fact, it is the need of the, if you like, disciple, follower, that teaches the master. Source of the knowledge or source of the teaching process of the master. I can only understand this. I still find it difficult to understand the relationship. I can still understand this matter from my own experience when I am having a discussion with my friends. With my readings, it means I am having a discussion with the author of the books I'm reading, or nowadays with the author of the video that I am watching. Now, video is an artificial one. Maybe the real interaction with the students, with the people around me, is a better example. It may be unbelievable, but I really admit and confess that I learn much more things from the people who ask me questions, who also criticize my understanding. It means oppose my understanding in a reasonable way. Even I knew the subject, from this criticism, I realized my weak points, missing points, and that helps me a lot to complete the picture of the subject as a whole. helps me a lot. When I am reading a lot of books, again, what I am experiencing nowadays, before I thought they were teaching me. Now I understand now that if they say something which is acceptable for me, it consolidates my strong understanding, or my understanding which has a base. But if they say something strange which I cannot agree with, then it helps me understand what is wrong in understanding or approaching or analyzing the subject that I am dealing with. It means establishing my methodology of understanding the subject in the better way. Sometimes I say it in a simple way. I am learning a lot from the mistakes of other people. I am learning a lot from the questions of other people, comments of other people, criticisms of other people. But criticism has one thing. It must be a reasonably, rationally consistent criticism, not claims. I get annoyed with the claims. That's my weak point. But rationally consistent criticism makes me think a lot, although on the spot, my ego may find it difficult to admit. That is my weak point. But afterwards, I understand that I have to think about it and admit that, yes, that criticism was right or wrong, whatever. That is the main teaching point for me. So the author looks at the matter from much wider perspective, as far as I understand here, although still I admit the text is not easy to grasp for me, to understand for me, what it really is saying and teaching me. Not complete, I admit that. But what I understand, as far as I could follow now, and I would like to share it with you, with my understanding, the author is looking at the matter from a wider perspective, which is the source of everything which exists. Everything which exists in this universe. For example, my feeling to teach, my feeling to learn, my feeling to like to share what I learned for others, my feeling to be compassionate to others, so that if this idea makes me happy, completes my human happiness, why shouldn't I share it with those people may need the same thing? Like exactly, if the food I am eating, property I am having, satisfies me, makes me feel happy, if I have extra, why should, as far as the material things are concerned, property or food, why, if I have extra, I have to share it with others? When it comes to ideas, feelings, you don't have to share it. And you don't have to give half of it materially. Now, the more you share, the more you teach, the stronger your knowledge becomes. That is how we are. We are created with this capacity, within this capacity. Whoever created me or you with this capacity, you and I feel that I have to share this beautiful idea, as I feel that I have to share this food with the needy ones. How about sharing the idea which is given to me, and the feeling also, feeling of sharing is also given to me. The need to share is also given to me by the source of the knowledge I have been given. Oh, that is what I have to be aware of it. Now, when I transfer, for example, let's speak in terms of concrete example. When I transfer the food which is given to me in order to dispose it as I want, and also together with this food, I have been given that I take pity on those people who need it, and I feel that if I share it with the needy ones, they will be also happy. So if there was no needy person, can I feel this need that, or feeling that I have to share it with someone? That is the reason for me. Those people who are, for example, known to me as need of the food, I have more than what I need. That feeling is, how do you say, agitated or encouraged to come out and practice. It means share it with the others. So the needy eyes looking at me, for example, I am eating a food, there is a poor, hungry person next to me, the face expression of this person really urges me to share my food with this one, with this needy one. So he is the source of my being, if you like, generous, helping others. I can only sense that we can exercise this in this way. I mean, we can understand the text alongside this line. For example, we think usually that communities shape the members, which I don't agree with this. Why? Every member finds the community that he wants to choose. He wants to become a member. It means community doesn't shape the people, only those people who would like to be shaped in the way that the community acts. Joins this the community thinks that I am shaping these people. But if they say, I don't want to be shaped in the way that you are shaping, I will go out and you won't be able to shape anybody's minds or understandings. These relationships actually starts off, this relationship is initiated by the needy ones, not the community, not the teacher, not the master, spiritual master. They are not the initiators. The needy ones are the initiators. They are the ones who are urging, triggering this, the feeling to come and action. According to the needs of the people, my feeling of sharing whatever I have with me is triggered, and I reflect back to the needy ones. For example, very simple example, I'm trying to understand this very complicated subject for me. If I see that somebody is not hungry but thirsty, simple example, Do I want to share the food with him, or do I want to share the water with him? Now I see that he is thirsty, he wants water. So this side of me, this feeling is prompted with observing the man's need. And I start acting accordingly. I don't know whether I took your time and it was any useful at all for you, but I'm trying to understand, rather than saying that the teachers are employed by Allah, by the Creator, so that the students are benefiting from it. So teachers are acting as a mirror. Yes, that is correct. But in practical life, my relationship and with my spiritual master. For example, we are reading the book of an author, who is called Nursi. So I think Nursi is shaping my mind, which after reading this text, I say no. Nursi is not shaping my mind. I'm reading his book, yeah, but my desire to be shaped in this way. That's why I have chosen Nursi. Nursi has found the opportunity to teach me now because of my need, not because he teaches. If I didn't need it, if you didn't need it, if no one else needed it, who, the author of this book, can teach? Nobody. So our need provides the opportunity for the author to teach us, but it teaches us according to my expectations. I can interpret the teaching of the author as I want to understand it. The main factor does not remain on the author. The main factor remains on my need or my choice. So I am the first triggerer, first agent for this event to occur, teaching relationship. So teacher should say, because of you, I am able to teach. Because of your need, I am able to direct your feeling. Otherwise, direct your need for learning. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to teach you. I think it is a hard subject to understand. Thank you.
Yeah, Suhail, go ahead, please. Thank you, brotherly.
So just, if I understood Ali Murmur and previous comments, what the text was saying, essentially, everyone is a mirror. There is no mirror better than another mirror, in a sense. That's why Nursi says somebody becomes the shaykh. In other words, the teacher, who may be mirroring to whatever his capacity is and his expectation, he is being a mirror to whatever truth he's expecting to find, and another individual simply acts as a mirror to that, as much as their expectation is and their capacity is. They choose by their own free will whether to reflect whatever is being reflected on that guide or teacher. And sometimes one's own mirror can be clearer or less clouded than the one who is teaching. So the light is more clearly manifest upon that individual's mirror-like capacity rather than the shaykh, and then therefore an individual can become the shaykh, as he says, or she says. So as Ali Murmur was saying, there is no none of this like hierarchical relationship between the shaykh and the student. They're both mirrors, and they choose from their own expectation capacity how they are going to reflect the manifestation of the truth, if I understood correctly.
Thank you, Suhail. That helps. So do you still want to comment, or your hand is still up, Suhail?
Oh, sorry, that was just before.
That's all right. Yeah, so that also, I think from what I understood also from Brother Ali about he emphasized a lot on the need and the need becoming the initiating part, and based on the student's needs, or that clarifies or clears up the mirror more, and that is what leads to whatever the reflections for that student. So that is how the guidance comes. And I like the way you said it about the everybody being as the mirror, and there's no better mirror than the other, but it's all on the individuals, how they are being reflecting, or how clean they're keeping their mirror. So it has to go to the individual level. But I see your hand up again. Yeah, so if you want to add anything, please go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, like practically speaking, if let's say, for example, Nursi, I can read Nursi's text, and maybe he's reflecting the truth on his own sort of mirror-like capacity, based on what his sort of need and expectations are. But myself, I may take it completely differently by my own choice. So I may not see Nursi as an individual trying to speak to me on, let's say, the essential matters of belief and what the purpose of existence and meaning of life is. I may see him as a, I don't know, scholar of the law, for example, somebody who's telling me stories, things like that. I mean, whatever people's their own expectations and needs are, that's what they'll reflect from each other. So it's interesting to in one way, because an individual, while he may be, let's say he has a teacher or a guide, it doesn't sort of preclude or block him from receiving possibly a clear, less clouded, less veiled manifestation of the truth. It's very interesting. In other words, the teacher does not sort of block the light for the student, because it's up to the student's expectation and their need. So they can interpret it and shape as they choose to be. So it gives agency to the individual. That's why, as he says, the student can become the shaykh. Seems paradoxical, like how is that possible? But it's because everyone's a mirror to the same sun. No one has individual property over the sun. Like they cannot claim it for themselves, solely for themselves. They're just simply reflecting the light on their own sort of mirror-like capacity, and that reflects onto other individuals as much as they wish from their own choice.
Thank you for that addition. Is there anybody else who wants to ask a question, needs clarifications, or wants to comment? Okay, Brother Ali, please go ahead.
Yeah, for comment, I may. Now, clarification, I am not clear. So how can I clarify something else by myself? Okay, forget about this. This subject reminded me the frequent reminder in the Quran saying that the prophets have to do their jobs. And also one of the verses I remember in the Quran that prophets also are tested with the message they are given. These are interesting things. Why I understand from the Quranic perspective, the prophets are obliged to do their job, whereas the rest of the people are free to choose. The Quranic explanation says they are not free to choose, they have to do it. And consequently, the Quran surprisingly says, hey, you don't have the right to expect any reward from anyone that you are teaching, conveying the message to, and letting them or helping them to practice it by your own exemplary practice. You have to obey the message that I have entrusted to you and practice it in your life. No way to get out of it. And no reward, payment, wage you can expect from them. I understand now a little bit after reading this text and listening to people, especially Suhail's last comments. All of us as mirrors. Of course, it is easy to understand when we just say that, of course, the message is entrusted on him. He has no right to claim, but why he is obliged to convey it, and the rest of the people are not. They are let free. And if I do a job, teach a class, I mean, not practically speaking, but this is the routine of life, the teachers are paid. No one says that teachers shouldn't be paid. But God pays it. At the end of the day, students, teachers, prophets, all all of them will receive their payment from the same creator. Why why prophets are required specifically that they shouldn't expect any payment in this world? Whereas when I teach, I expect the payment. Teachers are paid. No one says no. But also Quran doesn't say if you teach, you shouldn't be paid, because I am the source of knowledge that you have. So I will reward you. Don't ask any reward from people. There is no injunction in the Quran like this. But for the prophets, there is. So interesting. So interesting. I think this subject reminded me this. I said, that is the reason why what the author explained here, that is the reason why the prophets are required not to expect any reward, wage, or payment from the people they convey, although they are obliged to convey the message to their own enemies, very determined enemies, stubborn enemies who want to kill the prophet, and the prophet is obliged to help them, to save them, to teach them, and not expect any reward from it. Oh, that is very interesting, extremely interesting. Yeah, extremely interesting. I think that this is how the order of the universe has been established, So we have to act in harmony with this. When I teach, try to teach or help somebody, or materially or otherwise, sharing my material facilities with others, or maybe ideas as well, I should not expect any kind of reward. Respect, for example, appreciation, for example, pride, for example, payment, for example. I should not expect anything at all, because I have to be only thankful because they are providing the opportunity for me to practice my need of sharing, teaching, etc., helping, etc. For example, if very simple example again, if you help a very needy one, obvious case, somebody was hit, God forbid, and you witnessed the case, you are in your car, you took the victim directly to the hospital and saved his time. For example, you were the reason to be saved the life of this person on earth. What do? Your reward is already within it. You feel so great, happy. You cannot buy this happiness with money. You cannot get this happiness by doing for yourself something as much. You really feel relaxed, happy, so that you helped somebody else. Look, as a result of help, you already have been rewarded. I think this kind of matters help us understand that we should never claim anything at all as a result of our actions. If it is given, take it, but never claim that I deserved it. That is the lesson I took from the text. Thank you.
Thank you for highlighting that point also. Bringing I think there's going to be a revolution in terms of the education and how the teacher-student relationships goes. But yeah, the reward is in doing the action itself, but one should be aware not to claim ownership of anything. Thank you. And anybody else who wants to comment or say something? Shbeza, go ahead, please.
Sorry, I muted myself because I got excited. I just wanted to share something that opened up in my world as I was listening, and that being that I think, like, on the flip side, from the perspective of the student as well, if I find myself unsatisfied or unhappy with the way my learning is going, for example, then I also don't have the right to blame the teacher per se. I need to check myself because within the mirror of the teacher, then, from what I understand, is I see what I expect to see in the mirror of the teacher. So I need to check my expectations. And in checking my expectations, I need to, that requires that I become aware of my own need, of why it is that I'm a student here, or what is it that I'm seeking, which I think is fundamental in my approach to anything. And from another perspective, I think just as the reward for helping someone in need is in the action of helping them, right? Not necessarily, some sort of compensation that comes afterwards. I think there's also reward in recognizing my need and seeking something that fulfills it, just actively seeking. I think there is some sort of reward or pleasure that comes from taking that sort of making that intention and taking that sort of role in seeking that, like in seeking that with something that fulfills me. I'm essentially becoming aware of my need, and I think there's some sort of reward in that as well. Thank you.
Thank you for that addition. So seeing yourself as the mirror and then seeing the teacher or anything you're interacting with as a mirror. That's the way to approach things, which is good. And then you realize, that nothing is actually belongs to you or coming from you in your mirror. And you realize more of your needs, and which is why you are getting whatever that thing that you are seeking. That is very good. Thank you. Anybody else who wants to share their excitement? I know we have some young ones. We have Mariam from Ohio. We have Mariam and Rayan. Any one of you want to say anything or share anything? Yes, Mariam, please go ahead.
You seemed really excited about having comments and stuff. So I know I haven't been here for a few weeks, so but I'm gonna share my notes if that's all right with you, since no one else is speaking. Does that work okay?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So everything in the universe is a mirror was my first note. My second note was we shouldn't take the credit because we are still learning. Give the credit to your teacher, whoever that may be, like someone on this earth or your creator, if you just something just appeals to you or something like that. Logical criticizing helps you learn by knowing what you need to reinforce. My next note was the need to share is given to us. You can interpret anything any way you want to. There is no one way. And then my last note was do something without expecting something, because something good could come out of that.
Great. That was good. I like that. So everything in the universe is a mirror. So I think Faria is writing all that. The need to share is given to us. Very good. So Faria, you want to continue on?
Oh, no, this was good. Thank you, Mariam, for sharing your notes, because, these are like the main takeaways, and then we can all further reflect on it. And so I was just pondering over how everything is a mirror. And so it's just like a mirror to mirror interaction going on with everything. What's the role of a mirror? To show me, like, everything. Like, it's basically a means for me to recognize and realize things. So the mirror itself then is not the source of existence of what I experience. So I think just living with this mirror to mirror awareness can help us solve a lot of situations that we may find sometimes difficult or challenging to tackle with. But again, the challenge is good because it helps us learn from our mistakes. It helps us become more cognizant and conscious beings, where we recognize that all we're doing, we're just walking mirrors and communicating with other walking mirrors. And the sun is definitely made to shine on all the mirrors, but the mirrors, none of the mirrors are the source of existence of anything. So what do I look for? Because I enjoy the sun that is being reflected in the mirror, so I directly go to, I want to be in contact with the sun, basically. So and I know that the mirror itself is just a means, and I'm appreciative of the mirror, but at the end of the day, I'm very grateful to the sun, or the source of existence of things. And yeah, thank you.
Great. Thank you for adding that, Fariha. Anybody else wants to share anything? Brother Ali, please go ahead.
No, she is a very, very good note taker and summarizes the whole subject that we have been studying. I think she said everything in the universe is a mirror. The second, the need to share is given to us. The third, we shouldn't expect any reward from the things that we are sharing with others. Now, I would like to add something if Miriam permits me to do this. Can I? Fourth one, can I add?
Of course.
Thank you. So, for your permission. So, I think it was from the very beginning, H. Beza brought up this subject, which she said, or the text also says, we should preserve the mirror. We cannot say that you are not the source of it. So everything in the universe is a mirror. You are just a mirror, and then you don't own anything which is reflected in this mirror. So the real source is someone else or something else. So I can get rid of the mirror. If you can get rid of the mirror, if you get rid of the mirror, you wouldn't have the reflection. So we should preserve it. It means, I think, in our preserve the mirror in the practical life. We have to respect the mirror. The human beings, whoever helps us. I am sure Miriam respects her parents, her teacher, or whoever helps her. I mean, mirror should be preserved, shouldn't be broken and thrown away. That is the necessity of the conditions of this order of the universe. But in practical human to human relationship, I understood respect the mirror. But we should never ever forget that our gratefulness, our feeling of grace must be directed to the source. Always. That is very important. For example, we are very careful that the books we are reading, yes, we should pray for the author. We should respect the author. We shouldn't be really, you can criticize it if the idea doesn't make sense to you, but we shouldn't be irrespectful to the author. And for example, if we have a teacher, we should respect the teacher. If we have a spiritual teacher, which is called here shaykh, We should respect the sheikh. We have to benefit from, we are benefiting from the sheikh as far as we are concerned. We should respect the prophets, but in return, as God says in the Quran, we should pray for the prophet. It means respected. Be respectful. But at the end of the day, we should be thankful, we should be grateful to the employer of the prophet, employer of the teacher, real source of the creation of the prophets, real source of the message of the prophet, and real source of the knowledge of the teachers, and real source of the enlightenment that the sheikh has. It means penetrating into the meanings of the existence of the things and sharing his feelings, his or her understanding with us. The source is not them, yeah, but at the same time, we have to be respectful to them, but grateful to the source, which is the creator. I think this must be kept in balance while we are created in this world, because we are created in this world within a body. That is very important. Where we are taking care of the body, yes, we are. We have to be respectful towards our body and the material objects here around us. We have to respect, as they say, environment, the other creatures, animals, plants, even non-animate beings. We have to respect them as they are created. We shouldn't really destroy their position. We shouldn't really, we should try to preserve as they are created. That's the preservation of the environment. But we shouldn't be grateful to the creatures. The one who created them deserves our grace, our thanking, our praise. That must be kept in balance, actually. We shouldn't forget that. But mostly nowadays, the materialist understanding, civilization is prevalent on the world. So what people do now, not only preserve, as they call it, nature, the environment, but they are trying to be respectful, thankful to the environment. They use a coined a term even, thanks to the nature. Mother Nature, so compassionate, provided this and that to us. Now, that is an going into extremes and not keeping the balance. I mean, being respectful doesn't mean to be grateful and thinking that they are the source. But at the same time, we should be the people of balance. It means, since I am created in this world, since this world is acting as a mirror or transmitter, transporter, what is given to them, I have to respect. I have to respect. But at the same time, I should never ever forget that I have to be grateful. I have to admit, acknowledge the source as to be the one who provided everything for us at the end. That is the bottom line. But in this world, of course, we have to protect and preserve the environment, because they are mirrors. Only through them that we receive the grace of God, grace of the Creator, mercy of the Creator, only through them that we acknowledge the Creator. So we have to preserve them. That is beautiful, actually, very realistic as we are experiencing ourselves. Yes, our stomach needs food. We have to take care of it. But it doesn't mean that we have to take care of the food for our stomach only. That's what this word is doing. It's serving the stomach, serving the taste, tongue, serving the ear, even living for music, for example, only, entertainment only entertainment, watching the beautiful things, films or movies, etc., just enjoying it, not really thinking about the source. Who's providing and creating all this for me? That is a very overwhelming civilization that carries away whole population almost. And we have to watch out that we are the people of balance. Yes, I have to be respectful, but my thanks, my praise, my grace go to the origin, the source, the creator. Inshallah, that make me feel comfortable now. Thank you.
Alhamdulillah, thank you. All right. Okay. We have a few minutes left. If anybody wants to take on another topic or make any other comment, now is the right time to do that. I think this is a good study so far on this text. I'm seeing also if there's anything we can tackle at this time. Okay, so H. Beza, please go ahead.
Yeah, I was looking at the text again, the last paragraph, where it says, the follower supposes the effulgences he receives due to the purity of his sincerity or his strength of attachment or his concentration of his master, or in other ways to have come from the mirror of his master's spirit. And then it says, like by means of mesmerism, some people open up a window onto the world of similitudes by gazing attentively at a mirror and observe strange and wonderful things in the mirror. And then I'm just going to read the next sentence as well. But they are not in the mirror. By focusing their attention onto the mirror, a window opens up in their imagination outside the mirror and they see those things. So I was trying to make sense of this world of similitudes, and why the author specifies that, like, they're not the students, right, are, he says, sometimes in this state or means of mesmerism, this other sort of, like, I guess world of similitudes, meaning, I'm not sure, but I guess like the qualities that I might, or maybe experiencing, or being more in touch with the qualities that I'm experiencing within the universe. And in through a mirror, which is, anyone or anything that I can interact with. But I guess, like, when they say they're not in the mirror, I guess, like, my understanding from our discussion in part was also like, I can benefit from something to the extent first I want to benefit from it, and like my recognition of my needs. So within the mirror of someone else, I see myself in a way. To some extent, I see my own needs, or I recognize those needs, and that is what I address. So when it says when they are not in the mirror, I mean, the mirrors all looking to the sun, right? So they all manifest these qualities. But am I looking at the mirror of, or as I gaze at the mirror of someone else, there's something that I'm particularly looking at, and in that gaze, I can also see the reflection on my mirror, which also reflects the sun as well. So I was just trying to understand if anyone else wants to um, help clarify what they understand from World of Similitudes, or why the author says they are not in the mirror, but by focusing their attention on the mirror, a window, I guess, like focusing their attention on the mirror means focusing their attention on the means through which they can understand what is being reflected in the mirror by the source, aka the sun. But if anyone wants to share their thoughts or help clarify, I would appreciate it. Or in other words, I respect you.
There you go. Thank you. So anybody wants to explain that, what Ishbeza is asking? That last part of the last paragraph, I think it's about the window onto the world of similitudes by gazing attentively at a mirror. And then, Suhail, go ahead.
To me, I mean, this is just, what I understood from it. One specifically, when he says the follower, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
So the follower supposes the effulgence he received through the purity of his sincerity or his strength of attachment or his concentration on his master, or in other ways, to have come from the mirror of his master's spirit. In other words, the student thinks that the guide is the one who is the source of this sort of effulgence or the truth or some sort of insight into the meaningful aspect of the world. Like it's coming from the shaykh, the teacher, the guide, rather than he is just simply reflecting himself on his own capacity. He's not really doing anything other than not blocking the truth, not veiling the truth. That's how he's employing his will. And that's what the student sees, because the student is simply reflecting what the teacher is reflecting. Like by means some mesmer, some people open up a window onto the world of similitudes by gazing attentively at a mirror and observe strange wonderful things in the mirror, but they are not in the mirror. To me, it's the student seeing something about the meaningful aspect of the universe. In other words, they see what the meaning refers to. So they don't see just material aspect of things, but they see a very sort of the sort of meaningful aspect of the universe and what it indicates, and in a way being in communication with the author, the creator of the universe, the one who's manifesting his qualities upon the face of the universe. So you're sort of in direct communication with that. That's, to me, was the world of similitudes. But again, he's saying, whatever reflection you get, whatever meaning you get, is not in the mirror in and of itself. It's just being reflected on the mirror to you. In other words, when you see the reflection of the sun on the ocean, in the droplets of water is not the sun. So don't confuse whatever you sort of learn or appreciate and understanding you gain from the teacher, the guide, the shaykh, because it's not from within them. They're simply a droplet, or simply a mirror, really, reflecting the sun. They are not the sun themselves. So I think that's what he's saying. But it doesn't, as Dr. Ali was saying, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't pray for thank and show respect and gratitude because to the person reflecting, to the person being a mirror, because they're choosing not to veil the truth
from themselves and from you. But sincerity is in knowing that they are not the sun. They're simply reflecting the light of the sun.
Thank you, Suhail, for that explanation. All right, so I see there's a comment from Mariam and Rayan. Would any one of you want to read that, the notes that you have put? Can you get closer to the mic, please? We don't hear your voice.
So I wrote those notes because there's a source that helps us exist, and the source makes us exist. So that source is the creator, because he helps us, he makes us be created on the universe, so we have all these abilities to do everything we can. And my example was like, a plant is not made from just the sun. Water, sun, soil, oxygen, and care are all used to help the plant grow. All of the natural products help create to become one source so the plants can grow.
Thank you. So everything in the context of our discussion, so all those things are mirrors. That's what I understood from you. So the sun and the oxygen and water, everything is acting as the mirror. So everything is, the mirror is reflecting those qualities, but the actual source is, as you said, the source of existence of everything. Thank you for that comment, Mariam. All right, I think we are at time here. If there's any final comment or by anyone, please raise your hand. If not, I think we can close here, inshallah.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. Glory be unto you. We have no knowledge save except that which you've taught us. Indeed, you are all knowledgeable, all wise. وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين بحرمة سر سورة الفاتحة. آمين.